The crystal chandeliers of the Plaza Hotel ballroom cast fractured light across a sea of designer gowns and tailored tuxedos. Champagne flutes clinked, cameras flashed. The who's who of Manhattan's elite had gathered to witness the union of the year. Zariah Nyx Brown, heiress to the Brown luxury empire, and Drake Kevin Hernandez, the ruthless CEO whose tech conglomerate had swallowed 3 Fortune 500 companies before his 30th birthday. Zarya stood at the altar in ivory silk that cost more than most people's cars, her dark skin glowing against the fabric, her expression perfectly composed. Beautiful, untouchable, empty. Drake's hand was steady as he lifted the platinum band. His jaw was carved from stone, his Korean features sharp enough to cut glass. The crowd leaned forward, breathless with anticipation. He slid the ring onto her finger. "You threw us away like I meant nothing." His voice was a whisper meant only for her, each word a blade between her ribs. Zarya's smile never wavered. She met his gaze, those dark eyes that once looked at her like she hung the moon, and spoke with the calm of someone delivering a eulogy. "You were never the problem." The applause erupted around them like thunder. 6 years earlier, Stanford University, California. "You're joking." Zarya stared at the professor's email on her laptop screen, reading it 3 times to make sure she wasn't hallucinating. "This has to be a mistake." Her roommate peered over her shoulder. "Oh shit, Drake Kevin? The football star who thinks academic integrity is optional?" Zarya's fingers flew across her keyboard, already composing a strongly worded email. "I'd rather partner with a brick wall. At least that would stay awake during research." But Professor Martinez's decision was final. Advanced Economics Project. 40% of their grade, 8 weeks, no changes. Their first meeting was in the library at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. Drake showed up 20 minutes late, still in his practice jersey, hair damp from the shower. He dropped into the chair across from her with the easy confidence of someone who'd never been told no. "So?" He flashed that smile that probably worked on every other girl on campus. "Zarya, right? I'm late." She didn't look up from her notes. "And if you think I'm doing this project alone while you coast on my work, you're delusional." His smile sharpened into something dangerous. "I don't coast." "Really?" "Because your last group project partner filed a complaint with the dean about doing everything herself. She was incompetent. She graduated summa cum laude." Drake leaned back, studying her with new interest. "You researched me." "I research all my liabilities." Zarya finally met his eyes. Big mistake. They were the color of dark coffee, intense and unsettling. "Let's establish ground rules. You show up on time. You do your share. You don't. You always this uptight. You always this insufferable." The corner of his mouth twitched. "This is going to be fun." It wasn't fun. It was war. He challenged every theory she presented. She dismantled every lazy assumption he made. Their debates got so heated that librarians started recognizing them, already reaching for their quiet please signs the moment they walked in. "Your model doesn't account for market volatility," Drake argued, leaning across the table until she could smell his cologne, cedar and something darker. "Because your model is based on a fantasy where regulations don't exist." Zarya shoved her laptop toward him. "Look at the data. Actually look at it instead of assuming you know everything." He looked, really looked. Then he met her eyes with something like respect. "You're right." Those 2 words shifted something between them. The next week, he showed up 10 minutes early with coffee. Black, 2 sugars, exactly how she took it. She'd never told him how she took her coffee. Week 4. "Why economics?" Drake asked one night when they'd been working for 3 hours straight. The library was nearly empty, just the 2 of them bathed in the glow of laptop screens. Zarya hesitated. "She never talked about this. My mother built her company from nothing, came from Nigeria with 2 suitcases and a business plan. She taught me that understanding money means understanding power." "Power to do what?" "To never be helpless." She clicked her pen, once, twice. "Your turn." "Why football?" "Control." His honesty surprised her. "On the field, every outcome depends on my decisions. No trust funds, no family names, just me. Your family has enough zeros in their bank account to buy a small country." "Exactly." His jaw tightened. "Nothing I do is just mine. Everything's a reflection, a calculation, a strategic move in the Hernandez legacy." He paused. "Except this project with you. It's the first thing in years that's just Mine. Zarya's chest constricted in a way that had nothing to do with their research. Didn't you? Week 7. It happened on a Friday night when they decided to work through their presentation one more time. Zarya was explaining their economic model, animated and brilliant, her natural hair framing her face in a dark halo. Drake wasn't looking at the presentation. "Are you even listening?" she demanded. "No." "Drake, you're impossible," he said, his voice rough. He stood, moving around the table. "You're stubborn and demanding, and you never let anything slide." She stood too, heart hammering. Then stop wanting me," he finished, before his mouth crashed against hers. The kiss was incendiary. Years of friction ignited into pure heat, her fingers tangled in his hair. His hands spanned her waist, pulling her closer, closer, like he wanted to fuse them together. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Zarya's carefully constructed walls were rubble. "We're going to ruin each other," she whispered against his lips. "Promise?" He kissed her again. They were inseparable after that. 3 years of stolen moments and public declarations. He surprised her with her mother's favorite flowers. She flew out to every game, cheering louder than anyone. They fought hard and loved harder. The night before graduation, Drake got down on one knee in the campus rose garden where they'd had their first real conversation after that library kiss. "Marry me, Zariah Nyx Brown. Marry me and let's build something that's just ours." She said yes. 2 weeks later, her mother's car was T-boned by a truck on Pacific Coast Highway. The doctors said she died instantly. Zarya's younger sister survived but lost her left leg. The surgeries and trauma sent her into a coma. At the funeral, Zariah's stepmother Pandora pulled her aside, tear-streaked and trembling. "It wasn't an accident," Pandora whispered. "I found documents, a shadow organization called M12. They're connected to the Hernandez empire. They killed her, Zariah. They killed your mother." Zarya remembered Drake mentioning his family's complicated business interests, his evasive answers about what exactly the Hernandez corporations did. She only knew him as Drake Kevin, never questioned his last name. That night she called him. Her voice was ice. "I refuse to marry someone who isn't wealthy and powerful enough for my family's standards. We're done." She blocked his number before he could respond, before her resolve could crack, before she could tell him the truth. She was walking into war, and she wouldn't let him become collateral damage. Present day. The reception was champagne and lies. Drake stood at the microphone, his smile as cold as a blade. "Let me be clear," he announced to the crowd. "This marriage is a strategic alliance, nothing more. A merger of empires. Don't mistake it for anything romantic." Across the ballroom, Zarya raised her glass in mock salute, her heart shattering for the second time. The war had only just begun. The Manhattan penthouse was a monument to wealth and silence. 40 floors above the city, floor-to-ceiling windows framed the glittering skyline like a painting neither of them bothered to admire. Zarya had taken the east wing. Drake ruled the west. The living spaces between them stretched like no man's land. 3 weeks into their marriage, they'd perfected the art of coexistence without contact. Zarya emerged from her bedroom at 7 a.m. in a slate-gray power suit, heels clicking against Italian marble. Drake sat at the kitchen island in running clothes, scrolling through his phone, a protein shake untouched beside him. She poured coffee. He didn't look up. "You have the Matsuda meeting at 9, she said, voice crisp and professional. "Aware. Your tie selection yesterday was terrible. Navy doesn't work with that particular shade of... I don't need a stylist. I need a wife who remembers this is a business arrangement." His eyes finally lifted, dark and cutting. "Or did you forget between spending my money and sleeping in silk sheets I paid for?" Zarya's fingers tightened on her mug. "I have my own money." "Then why are you here?" "Because I need access to your world to finish what I started." But she couldn't say that. Instead, she smiled, the same empty smile from their wedding, and walked out without answering. Behind her, Drake's phone hit the counter with more force than necessary. The tabloids loved them. Power couple. Strategic empire. Manhattan's most beautiful marriage of convenience. The photos were everywhere. Drake at charity galas with stunning women draped on his arm, models, actresses, socialites who laughed at his dry humor and touched his shoulder just a second too long. Mila appeared most frequently, a willowy blonde with legs for days and a smile sharp enough to cut. Zarya recognized her immediately. Mila Vaughn, Madison Prep High School. Her former best friend turned bitter enemy after Zarya won the scholarship Mila wanted, dated the boy Mila liked, got into Stanford while Mila settled for her safety school. Now she was back, clinging to Drake like a designer accessory. "Mrs. Hernandez!" Mila's voice dripped honey at a gallery opening Zarya had been forced to attend. "You look tired. Marriage not agreeing with you?" Drake stood 10 feet away, deep in conversation with tech investors, but his posture was too rigid. He was listening. "Mila," Zarya kept her voice neutral. "Still collecting other people's leftovers, I see." Mila's smile never wavered, but her eyes flashed. "Some of us have to work for male attention. Others just marry for money." She leaned closer, voice dropping. "You always take what's mine. Not this time. Drake deserves someone who actually wants him." "Does he?" Zarya met her gaze steadily. "Then why does he come home to me every night?" It was a lie. Drake barely came home at all. But Mila didn't need to know that. 2 a.m. Thursday night, Zarya was working in the study, really working, not pretending. Financial records from her mother's company spread across the desk, searching for any connection to MI12, to the Hernandez empire, to the truth Pandora had given her. The penthouse door slammed. Drake's footsteps were uneven. She heard him pour something, whiskey probably, then silence. She should stay in the study, should let him drink himself into oblivion. Instead, she found him on the balcony, tie loosened, staring at the city like it held answers. "Another successful night of public humiliation?" she asked. He didn't turn. "That's rich coming from you. I don't parade strangers in front of cameras to prove a point. No, you just destroyed 3 years in a single phone call." Now he turned, and the pain in his eyes stole her breath. "Tell me why. Drake? Tell me why you really left." He moved closer, and she could smell expensive scotch and anger. "The excuse about wealth and power? I know you, Zarya. That wasn't you talking. You don't know me anymore." "Bullshit." He was inches away now, towering over her, all controlled fury. "I know that you bite your lip when you're lying, that you organize your thoughts by clicking pens, that you hate sleeping alone because of nightmares you never talk about." His voice dropped. "I know you're still wearing the necklace I gave you under that designer armor." Her hand flew to her collarbone, to the delicate gold chain hidden beneath her blouse, the one with the tiny compass pendant. "So you always find your way back to me," he'd said when he gave it to her. "Drake, don't." His mouth crashed against hers. It was nothing like their first kiss. That had been a discovery. This was warfare. Teeth and tongue and 3 years of betrayal and longing compressed into a single desperate moment. She should push him away, should remember why she left, what she was fighting for. Instead, her fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer. His hands found her waist, lifting her onto the balcony railing, and somewhere in the back of her mind, she registered the 40-story drop behind her. But all she could focus on was him, the taste of scotch and anger, and something dangerously close to love. They broke apart, breathing hard. "Tell me," he demanded against her lips. She wanted to. God, she wanted to, but the image of her mother's crushed car flashed behind her eyelids. Her sister in a coma. Pandora's warning about the Hernandez empire. "I can't," her voice broke. Drake released her, like she'd burned him. "Then we have nothing." He walked inside, leaving her alone with the city lights and the taste of him still on her lips. The next morning, Zarya met Kieran Cole at a cafe in Brooklyn, far from Manhattan's prying eyes. He looked exactly the same, kind eyes, perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, the leather jacket he'd worn since college. "You look terrible," he said, pushing a latte across the table. "Thanks. You really know how to charm a girl." "I know how to read one." Kieran pulled out a tablet. "I've been digging into UM12 like you asked." "Zarya, it's not what your stepmother said." Her pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" "M12 isn't a mafia ring. It's a federal front corporation." He swiped through documents. "They work with various companies, including Hernandez Enterprises, to conduct undercover investigations. White-collar crime, international fraud, corporate espionage." The coffee shop spun. "That's impossible." Pandora said, "Pandora lied." Kieran's expression was grim. I found financial records. She approached M12 first, trying to get them to investigate your mother for supposed tax evasion. When they refused, when they found nothing wrong, she hired independent mercenaries. Tintiz paused. Pandora killed your mother, Zarya. Not the Hernandez family. Pandora. The tablet slipped from her numb fingers. All of it. The breakup, the pain, destroying Drake, based on lies. That night Drake came home late, smelling like Mila's perfume. Zarya was waiting in the living room, evidence spread across the coffee table, ready to confess everything. But before she could speak, he swayed. Drake? She stood. Are you okay? Tired. His words slurred slightly. Mila. Drink. Alarm bells rang. What did she give you? He didn't answer, just stumbled toward the hallway. Zarya caught him, and the touch ignited something desperate in both of them. Fear, longing, 3 years of unfinished business. They barely made it to her bedroom. The sex was raw and emotional, walls crumbling with every touch. He whispered her name like a prayer. She kissed away tears she didn't remember crying. Afterward, wrapped in Egyptian cotton sheets, Drake's breathing evened into sleep. Zarya stared at the ceiling, Kieran's words echoing. Pandora lied. She'd destroyed everything for nothing. Drake was gone when Zarya woke, his side of the bed still warm. A single word was scrawled on the notepad by the lamp. Later. She pressed her fingers to her lips, still swollen from his kisses, and tried to ignore the hope blooming dangerously in her chest. Her phone buzzed. Kieran, found more. Meet me. Urgent. The diner was grimy and anonymous, exactly the kind of place Manhattan's elite would never be caught dead in. Kieran had a booth in the back, laptop open, face grim. Tell me you have good news. Zariah slid in across from him. I have proof. He turned the screen toward her. Bank statements. Wire transfers, encrypted emails, all bearing Pandora's digital signature. She paid the mercenaries $500,000, routed it through 3 offshore accounts, but I traced it back. Zarya's hands trembled as she scrolled them through the evidence. Her mother's face flashed in her mind. Bright smile, warm hands. The woman who taught her that strength meant standing when everyone expected you to fall. Is this enough for the authorities? More than enough. Kieran's hand covered hers briefly. Zarya, I'm sorry. I know this doesn't bring her back. No. Her voice was steel. But it ends this. She forwarded everything to her lawyer, to the district attorney, to everyone who could make Pandora pay. 3 hours later, the arrest happened at the Brown estate. Zarya watched from the driveway as police led Pandora out in handcuffs. Her stepmother's perfectly styled hair falling across her face. Designer dress wrinkled. You ruined everything, Pandora screamed, fighting against the officers. I gave your father everything. I deserved that company. I deserved... You deserved nothing. Zarya's father stood in the doorway, aged 10 years and 10 seconds. His shoulders sagged, his eyes hollow. How could you? She was God. She was everything. Pandora's mask cracked. She had everything. The company, the money, you. What did I have? Scraps, second place. Her voice rose to a shriek. I was tired of being invisible. The police car pulled away, sirens fading into Manhattan traffic. Zarya's father crumpled onto the front steps. She sat beside him, this man she'd barely spoken to since the funeral, and let him cry on her shoulder. I didn't know, he sobbed. She said she loved me. She manipulated the accounts, the investments. I thought I was making good decisions. I thought, I know, Dad. Zarya's own tears fell silently. I know. Evening, Hernandez, penthouse. Zarya burst through the door, evidence still on her phone, explanations forming on her tongue. She'd tell Drake everything, about Pandora's lies, about why she really left, about how she'd been so wrong. They could fix this. They could finally fix this. The living room was lit with candles. Drake knelt on one knee in the center, a velvet box open in his hand. The diamond caught the light, throwing rainbows across the marble floor. Mila stood across from him, tears streaming down her perfect face, hands clasped over her mouth. Zarya's world stopped. Mila Vaughn, Drake's voice was formal, detached. Nothing like the broken whispers from last night. Will you marry me? Yes! Mila's shriek pierced the air. Yes, yes, yes! Zarya must have made a sound, a gasp, a whimper, something, because Drake's head snapped toward her. His expression was carved from ice. Zarya! He stood, leaving Mila admiring the ring. We need to talk. She couldn't form words. After last night was a mistake. Each word was a bullet. Mila showed me pictures, you and Kieran, coffee shops, late night meetings, his hand on yours. He pulled out his phone, swiped through images. Her and Kieran at the diner, at the cafe, outside her lawyer's office. Drake, that's not... He's helping me investigate. Investigate what? New ways to humiliate me? His laugh was bitter. I actually thought, God, I'm such an idiot. I thought maybe last night meant something, that you felt what I felt. I do. Zarya reached for him, but he stepped back like her touch was poison. I'm done being your second choice, Zariah. Done being the man you come to when you're lonely or bored or need something. He straightened his shoulders. Mila actually wants me. She sees me. She's using you. Like you used me? Drake's voice could have frozen hell. At least she's honest about her intentions. Mila appeared at his side, ring glittering obscenely. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, Zarya, but Drake deserves someone who won't betray him. Her smile was saccharine. I'll take good care of him, promise. The room tilted. Zarya's chest constricted, airways closing, vision blurring at the edges. Zarya? Drake's voice shifted. Concern bleeding through anger. Zarya, what? She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The evidence on her phone, her mother Pandora last night, Drake proposing to Mila, it crashed over her in waves. Her knees buckled. Drake caught her before she hit the floor, his arms familiar despite everything. Call 911, he barked at Mila. She's faking, Mila said, but her voice sounded distant, underwater. Call now. The last thing Zarya registered was Drake's face above hers, finally afraid, finally seeing her, as consciousness slipped away. Mount Sinai Hospital, room 412. Kieran found Drake in the hallway, still in his suit from the proposal, head in his hands. You're blaming the wrong person. Kieran's voice was quiet but lethal. Drake looked up, eyes bloodshot. Stay away from my wife. Your wife just collapsed from stress and dehydration because you proposed to another woman. Kieran stepped closer. Did you even ask her why she's been meeting with me? Did you listen? I saw the pictures. You saw what Mila wanted you to see. Kieran shoved his phone at Drake. Zarya's been investigating her mother's murder. The Hernandez empire was framed. Pandora hired mercenaries, staged the whole thing. Zarya left you to protect you from a war she thought your family started. Drake stared at the evidence, his face draining of color. She left you because she loved you, you idiot. Kieran's voice cracked. And you just destroyed her. Inside room 412, Zarya lay unconscious, IV drip in her arm, monitors beeping steadily. Drake stood frozen outside, Kieran's phone clutched in his hand. Reading everything. Bank transfers, Pandora's arrest, the truth. Inside the room, Mila leaned close to Zarya's ear, checking the hallway first. You'll never wake up to take him back, she whispered, pulling a syringe from her purse. Some people just aren't strong enough for this world. She moved toward the IV line. The door crashed open. Drake's eyes locked on the syringe, on Mila's guilty expression, and everything clicked into place. Step away from her. His voice was death. Now! Drake moved like lightning. His hand clamped around Mila's wrist before the syringe touched the IV line. She yelped, the sound sharp and startling in the quiet hospital room where machines beeped their steady rhythm, and Zarya lay pale and still. Drake, you're hurting me. What is that? His voice was barely human, each syllable ground between clenched teeth. Nothing, I was just... He twisted her arm, forcing her fingers open. The syringe clattered to the floor, clear liquid pooling on sterile tile. Drake kicked it away, positioning himself between Mila and Zarya's unconscious form. Security! His roar echoed down the hallway. Security, now! Mila backed toward the door, hands raised, tears already streaming. You're overreacting. I would never... I heard you! Drake's hands shook with the effort of not wrapping them around her throat. I heard what you said to her. The mask cracked. Mila's tears vanished, replaced by something ugly and raw. So what? She deserves it. She deserves all of it. For what? For existing? For taking everything. The words exploded out of her, Years of venom finally finding release. Do you know what it's like? Being second to her my entire life? High school, she got the scholarship I earned. She got Tyler when he was supposed to be mine. Stanford while I went to my backup school. Mila's voice climbed higher, hysteria bleeding through. And then you. God, even you. I've been perfect for you. I've smiled and laughed and been everything a man could want. But you still look at her like she's the only person in the room. 2 security guards burst through the door, followed by a nurse. She tried to inject my wife with something, Drake said, voice deadly calm now. Call the police. No, Drake, please. Mila lunged for him, but the guards caught her. I love you. I've always loved you. She doesn't deserve you. Love? Drake's laugh was sharp enough to draw blood. You don't know the meaning of the word. They dragged her out, her screams fading down the corridor. You always stole the spotlight. Now you want to take everything, everything. The nurse retrieved the syringe with gloved hands, sealing it in a plastic bag. We'll have this tested immediately, Mr. Hernandez. Drake nodded, unable to speak, and turned back to Zarya. She looked so small in the hospital bed, her dark skin ashen, her natural hair spread across the pillow, the fierce, brilliant woman who'd challenged him in that library 6 years ago, who'd kissed him like he was oxygen, who'd broken his heart with a phone call, reduced to this fragile thing hooked to machines. He pulled a chair to her bedside and took her hand. It was cold. I'm sorry, he whispered. God, Zarya, I'm so sorry. 40 minutes later, Kieran found Drake in the same position, still holding Zarya's hand like a lifeline. Police took Mila in, Kieran said from the doorway. The syringe contained a high dose of potassium chloride, would have stopped her heart, made it look like natural complications from the collapse. Drake's grip tightened on Zarya's fingers. How long have you known? About Pandora? 2 weeks. Kieran stepped into the room. Zarya came to me the day after your wedding. Asked me to investigate M12, the organization her stepmother claimed killed her mother. And you found? That Pandora orchestrated everything. Kieran sat in the other visitor's chair. M12 is legitimate, a federal front corporation that works with companies like yours on undercover operations. Pandora approached them first, tried to get them to investigate your mother-in-law for fraud. When they refused, when they found nothing wrong, she hired mercenaries to stage the accident. Drake's jaw worked. Why? Jealousy, greed, the usual suspects. Kieran pulled up the evidence on his phone. She wanted the Brown Empire. When Zarya's mother refused to make her a partner and refused to give her control, Pandora decided to take it. By killing her and framing your family. Kieran's expression was grim. She knew about Zarya and you. Knew you were Drake Kevin Hernandez, even if Zarya didn't. She fed Zariah just enough truth mixed with lies to make her believe the Hernandez empire was responsible. Drake stared at Zariah's face, tracing the curve of her cheek with his eyes. She left me to protect me. She left you because she thought loving you meant putting you in danger. Kieran stood. For what it's worth, she never stopped. Every decision she made, every lie she told, it was all to keep you safe from what she thought was coming. I proposed to another woman in front of her. Yeah, Kieran's voice was hard. You did. 6 hours later, 3 a.m. Drake had sent Kieran home, dismissed the nurses, and told security he wanted privacy. Now it was just him and Zarya in the quiet beeping of monitors in the dark. He'd been reading through everything on Kieran's phone, every piece of evidence, every timeline, every moment of Zarya's investigation. She'd been carrying this alone for 3 years. 3 years of believing she'd destroyed their love to save his life. I never stopped loving you. His voice cracked in the darkness. Not for a single second. I paraded those women around, tried to make you jealous, tried to hurt you the way you hurt me. But it was all pretend. All of it. He pressed his forehead to their joined hands. Come back to me, please. Let me make this right. Zarya's fingers twitched. Drake's head snapped up. Zariah! Her eyelids fluttered. Opened. Those dark eyes that had haunted his dreams focused on his face. Drake! Her voice was sandpaper and silk. I'm here. Don't move. Let me get the nurse. No. Her grip strengthened, holding him in place. Stay. So he stayed. The nurse came anyway, checking vitals, adjusting the IV, explaining that Zarya had collapsed from severe dehydration and stress, that she needed rest and fluids and time. When they were alone again, Zarya spoke first. Mila? In police custody. His voice broke. She tried to kill you. I know. Zarya's eyes closed briefly. I heard her. Before you came in. Couldn't move, couldn't speak. But I heard her. Drake wanted to put his fist through a wall. I should have seen it. Should have known. You couldn't have. She shifted, wincing. I should have told you the truth 3 years ago. Should have trusted you with your mother. Drake's turn to interrupt. Kieran showed me everything. Pandora's lies. The real story about M12. Why you left. He brought her hand to his lips. You were trying to protect me. Tears slipped down her temples. I thought your family killed her. I thought if I stayed with you, if they knew I was investigating, they'd come after you too. I couldn't. Her voice shattered. I couldn't lose you that way. So you lost me another way. I know. I'm sorry. God, Drake, I'm so sorry. Stop. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, tasting salt. We were both idiots. Both too proud and too scared to just talk. You proposed to Mila. I thought you were cheating with Kieran. Thought you'd betrayed me again. Drake's laugh was self-deprecating. I wanted to hurt you. Wanted you to feel what I felt. The ring wasn't even real. I had it in my pocket from a work event and didn't even plan it. Saw you leaving the penthouse with purpose in your eyes and just snapped. Zarya studied his face in the dim light. What happens now? Now? Drake smoothed her hair back. Now we tell the truth. All of it. To each other, to the press, to everyone. Your reputation? Screw my reputation. He kissed her properly this time, soft and careful, mindful of her weakness. I spent 3 years in hell without you. I'm not wasting another second on pride or fear or what other people think. She kissed him back, and it felt like coming home. 2 weeks later, the second wedding was nothing like the first. No ballroom, no press, no strategic alliances or carefully worded contracts. Just them, the officiant, Kieran as witness, and Zarya's father, sober now, clear-eyed, present for the first time since his wife's death. Zarya wore a simple cream dress. Drake wore jeans and the Stanford hoodie she'd always loved. Do you take this man? Yes, Zarya smiled, the first real smile Drake had seen in 3 years. Absolutely yes. And do you? Yes. Drake didn't wait for the rest. He kissed her as the officiant sighed, and Kieran laughed in the sunset over the Hudson River. Later in their penthouse, truly theirs now, not divided into territories, they lay tangled in sheets, skin on skin, hearts finally synchronized. Tell me this is real, Zarya whispered against his chest. It's real. Drake's arms tightened around her. We're real, finally. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Kieran's name flashed across the screen. Drake almost ignored it, almost, but something in his gut twisted, so he reached for it. The message was short. Encrypted email just came through. Pandora had a silent partner. Someone on the Hernandez board funded the mercenaries. Still active, still free. We need to talk. Attached was a single image, a wire transfer from an account Drake recognized, a board member he'd trusted for years. Someone with access to everything. Drake's blood turned to ice. What's wrong? Zarya felt intense. He showed her the phone. Her eyes widened, then hardened into the steel he'd first fallen in love with. Then we finish this. Together? Together, she kissed him, fierce and certain. No more secrets, no more running. We face this as a team. Drake pulled her closer, breathing her in, knowing the war wasn't over but finding comfort in the fact that this time, finally, they'd fight it side by side. Outside the window, Manhattan glittered like a promise and a threat. The shadows had more secrets to reveal. But tonight, wrapped in each other, they had this. Love restored, trust rebuilt, and the unshakable certainty that whatever came next, they would face it together. Did Drake and Zarya's story keep you on the edge of your seat? Drop a comment with your favorite twist. Was it Mila's betrayal or Pandora's arrest? Hit that like button and subscribe for more explosive billionaire romance sagas where love conquers all. Or does it? The next story drops soon, and trust me, you won't want to miss it.